Hey guys, it's Bryce with Car 23 right here. Today I'm going to show you kind of what I did to my car to kind of change some of the accessories wiring so that we can go ahead and use them when the car is not turned on. So let me start off by showing you how I ran the power wire from the battery backwards. So coming up here, basically I added an 8-gauge wire all the way from the battery, and what I did is I put a maxi fuse right here, and I'm going to show you how I did this one. This one's actually going to be a breaker fuse, so I actually put a breaker fuse on there. That's actually a 30 amp breaker fuse. I'm not sure if I'll need more amps, but for now I'm just starting nice and low with a 30 amp breaker fuse. So instead of being out there, you know, somewhere in the desert and hey, you trip a fuse and you know, trying to swap it out and you don't have one, I figured a breaker might be good. Kind of like a lot of boats normally do breakers and stuff now, especially when you have it wired into radios. So basically what I did is I used the 8-gauge wire dedicated from the battery, and I traced the main power wire right here. This is factory. So I followed that one all the way down, and I'll show you in just a second underneath. So as you can see, basically the battery is right up underneath that box over there to the left, up over here. And basically I just followed the main power wire all the way down. I just zip tied it right to there. Obviously we have some brake line or something like that. I just traced the same route, zip tied it, you know, the same wiring. Obviously I'm sure somebody's going to complain about my zip tying job, but basically that's pretty much what I could get my hands into without removing all my skid plate. I just removed the left side of my you know, my skid plate underneath. Let me go ahead and show you what I did in the front. Alright, so now I'm in the front of the car. As you can see, it's not the cleanest thing. It's definitely a little dirty. I was trying to wipe it down to kind of show you. But basically what I did up here was I just ran it, same thing, with the main harness or the main power wire that comes up here. And then I just disconnected the main one that goes on with your ignition. Normally there was a jumper that connected this to the little fuse block that they had for accessories right here. So I disconnected those two. So now this one has constant power to this point right here. And then basically I fuse everything in the fuse panel that I'm gonna run. So one of the things that I did from there is one of the first ones, I basically triggered the accessory switch with constant power. So I'll show you in just a second. The accessory switch now has constant power to it. And then I jumped off the accessory switch to some new switches that I put in. But another thing I added was I added a little battery maintainer because this post right here isn't hot unless you turn on the ignition. You have to actually get under your back seats in the center kind of console area in the back seats. You have to actually remove some screws if you want to charge your battery. So what I wanted to do is I just put in a little battery maintainer that I have plugged in, as you can see right here. So whenever it's being stored for, you know, the season or something like that, I could just leave it on a battery maintainer. The battery is obviously real small, so it doesn't take very much to charge it, at least to maintain it. If it was really dead or something like that, I would, you know, go to the back and charge it from back there. But that's what I did. I still have to zip tie up a couple wires, so I still have to finish up some of that. But basically, underneath over here on this side, you have all your rocker switches, and I'll show you more on the dash because you can't really see back here. But basically what I did is I figured out the pin layout for the rocker switch for the accessories. And what I figured out was the purple with the red wire is actually for the rock and whip lights. So it's actually for the whip lights, but if you add the rock lights, they actually tap off of that. So I figured out where I could, you know, tap off of the rock lights separately, and I just did that. That was one of the main wires. The other wire was the red with blue wire, or red wire with blue stripe. That one was for the chase lights. So I figured out what both of those were, and then I also took the red power wire for the kicker head unit, and I powered that separately because I kept having a problem where it would turn on while I'm driving. So I wanted to be able to isolate that to a switch so it won't just randomly turn on. So let's come inside and kind of show you exactly what I did. So you have your normal rocker switches right here, right? These are all factory. And then what I did is I added a little panel of my own rocker switches. So I'm going to change out the far left one that says rear lights. And I found someone that actually sells one that says chase lights on it. So now if you turn on the aux switch or accessory switch, basically it's going to light this bus right here. And once this bus is lit, if I want to turn on the stereo, now my kicker head unit will actually turn on. Okay. And then if I want to turn on the underglow lights or rock lights, I could go ahead and turn that on. And I'm going to pause my music for a second so you're not listening to my music. And then obviously I have my whip lights separated, and then my rear chase lights. Now, I told you I was switching this one out, so I do have it wired up, but I didn't wire the blue light into it right now because I'm switching that one out. I have one on the way that actually says chase light on it, and it will match the rest of those. So that's basically what I did. So the main thing is that I took the aux one, which is now constant hot, and then basically once it's triggered, it lights the bus that basically will power all of these. If I'm not mistaken, the rear lights must have some type of relay or something like that. The reason why I assume that is because the wire going to it was pretty small, and based on what I assume the amount of amps are, I don't think the aux switch would have from the factory triggered that without a relay. So I assume there's already a relay somewhere in the back that triggers the chase lights. All the other lights are only pulling a few amps a piece, and the stereos, I think the stereo has a 10 amp fuse in it, so it can't be pulling more than 10 amps. So basically I assume that all these together aren't pulling more than probably 15 to 20 amps or something like that, which I currently have it on a 30 amp fuse right now. But that's basically what I did, and obviously I don't have my whips on right now, but you can see the rock lights are going to be on right now. And if I wanted to turn them off, I would just turn them off. And keep in mind the ignition is not on. So that's the cool thing, is before I had to have the ignition on in order to do that. So I'll turn some of those switches off. I'll turn my aux switch off. And then one other thing that I did that I thought was kind of a cool idea, if Speed ever wants to steal my idea, feel free. Basically I put a USB spot in the glove box, and what I'm going to do with that is to charge like a battery booster or a jump booster kind of thing, just in case the battery ever dies somewhere from me obviously running my accessories. But as you can see, it's not triggered right now unless the ignition's on, so I ran that one off the ignition. So if I turn on the ignition, okay, which my ignition should come on right now, it actually triggers that, and it has a little indicator that tells me the voltage of the battery. Right now it's 12.3. Obviously nominal voltage is like 12.6, 12.8 on a 12 volt battery, which maybe I could upgrade that to a lithium or something like that if I could find one that fits in the nominal voltages normally set. But that's kind of what I did. Let me know what you guys think in the comments, and let me know what you guys want to see next. My Garmin GPS, I'm still going to have it actually triggered off of the ignition because I don't want it to constantly charge all the time. Otherwise that would kind of drain the battery. I still got a lot of work to do. I plan on running my headset wires through my seat belts and stuff like that, so if I could have it where I plug it in easy to the seat belts. Like I said, my car's kind of dirty and messy right now, but hopefully you guys like my little video.